Hello, everybody. This is Anthony, be honest, from Mission Start Podcast. And you thought this podcast was dead. No, we were just on a break. Because tonight, or rather, it's this afternoon as you listen to this podcast, I am here to talk about J-Pop Summit that just happened and to talk about all things J-Pop. We have Rin join us tonight.
Hello.
So, Rin, you went, you took pictures, you embraced the heat that was San Francisco. How was J-Pop this year?
It was quite different from the previous renditions of the event that I've been to since 2012 and before. I've been to the first one back in, it was I think 2000, 9, 10, something around there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's come a long way.
Hmm.
They used to typically hold the event in San Francisco, Japantown. So it was usually an outdoor event.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really get too much of a crowd because we all know how cramped San Francisco, Japantown is.
Right.
But this year, they made the bold move by taking it over to an indoor venue, the Fort Mason Center over in North San Francisco, west of Pier 39 and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kind of near Ghirardelli Square, if you new folks know where that is.
So the thing about that is that I'm sure what year it was, maybe last year or the year prior. I remember talking to somebody that they're moving the venue somewhere else, away from Japantown. We weren't sure exactly how that would affect J-Pop as an event. In your eyes, I'm just judging from the pictures that I saw yesterday. It seemed like it had a little effect to how J-Pop and attendance-wise as its new venue.
Yeah, it didn't attract too many people as I think they would have expected, but I think if they're able to push this event out and maybe try to condense things a bit more to one venue instead of what they did this year, which is really confusing for some people, then I think that J-Pop Summit has potential to garner a wider audience, especially with the fact that they're able to get some pretty big name guests to come all the way out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What were some of the names of some of the special guests that were at this year's J-Pop?
So we have, some of you might know, famous Japanese animation song artist Eiichiro Aoi. She did songs from Kill la Kill, Sword Art Online, and so on. And even Jam Project.
Nice, definitely.
Right?
Awesome.
Those are big names.
Mm-hmm. They are definitely huge names.
And of course, you have some other smaller names out there. There's FEM, which stands for Far East Mannequin Movement. It's really these two girls who who doll up themselves and they walk around as if they're mechanical mannequins. And they have some local talent. I think Jimmy Oops or something like that, whatever, from before. So they have quite a bit of variety.
Okay, that's good to hear. It's glad to hear that regardless of the venue move, they're still bringing in some pretty good guests to come in. Kind of surprised by the what's her name? Aoi, or how I pronounce her name?
Eiichiro
Aoi.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they got her to come. That's really cool. But aside from that, so for those who don't know, because J-Pop Summit isn't necessarily a anime event like the events we've been covering over the years, but if you can describe what it is to somebody, how would you describe it?
In as few words as possible. It's it's really just a wide melting pot of all aspects of Japanese popular culture. What can I say?
Mm-hmm.
Everything from, yes, it also includes anime and manga, but it also includes music, cinema, dance, culture, and all this customs, and it's just a lot in one. It's just kind of shoving all these different aspects down a Mario pipe.
Oh yeah, definitely. the one thing I do love going to J-pop, at least the times I've been there, was the food's always great.
Oh yeah, they have all sorts of food trucks and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm specifically talking about the Japanese food I'm talking about. Yeah, the food is always great there, and I love it. It's so good. But yes, as Rin said, it is a celebration of all things Japan, and not just anime and cosplay, but like music, movies, and other things related to it. So, what were some of the things that stood out to you when you were there?
Well, besides those big game guests I mentioned before, there was also the fact that it, well, first of all, indoors was definitely a big, being indoors was a big change. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was used to J-Pop Summit Festival being an outdoor event, like an actual like street fair or something of the sort.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more like it's an actual exposition or convention almost. Kind of like a giant exhibit hall is what it seemed like this time around.
Yeah, definitely. J-pop used to, prior to this move, they used to be outside in Japantown. And
I
depending on
did hear that last year it was somewhere else. I don't remember, but yeah, apparently last year it was also in an indoors venue, but I forget where.
I
I,
see.
this is the first time I went since 2012. So this is they did move indoor to an indoors venue before this year,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The thing about it too is like, just out of curiosity, like how hot was it in San Francisco when you were there? When you went to J-pop.
Oh, it was. Well, what is summer is a better thing to ask here. I didn't exactly feel the heat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So,
Especially if you're indoors a lot.
oh yeah, definitely, definitely. On a hot day, like J-pop usually held outside, and for much of us who went to go check it out, we had fun, but like it's more or less like how much fun do you want to have outside versus how much you want to spend inside and in the cool AC that is J-Town the what do you call it? The buildings there.
Center.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's really here that they moved to another venue, which now people can go in, check out the event, and stay cool.
Uh,
Cause yeah,
not
that's
that it was particularly, not that it was really warm outside to begin with.
right,
It was
right.
pretty windy. It's because especially since you're right by the coast.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Because Japantown is relatively inside. It's relatively inland,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a few miles away from the coast.
Right, right. So speaking of the J-pop venue and the event itself, how was the inside? Like, what, like how much room did you have working with walking around the floor that is J-pop? Was it at times very crowded, or was it like just enough room for you to walk around and have no issue with?
Most of the time, it was pretty comfortable to walk around, especially since it didn't help that there were there was a lot of there was a lot of in and out going on during peak hours because of like people going out to go get food or what have you,
Mm-hmm.
and some people having to go outside of the venue to line up for autographs or certain things that VIP guests or VIP attendees had access to, like meet and greets with some of the guests.
Hmm. Okay, that's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. Um, so it wasn't much of a problem overall then for you to.
Yeah, no, there was not really any real crowding issue. The only time where there might have been crowding issues is when there was a concert going on over at the main stage and it's just really jam-packed full of people standing up. Like, there were no seats at all.
I see. I see.
Like,
Okay. Cool.
I don't know about you, but I like standing up during my concerts, so I'm perfectly fine with this no seating thing.
Okay. Speaking of which, how was the concert? I saw some of the photos that you took. You were pretty up close and nearby to take those shots.
So yeah, they had the stage areas divided into three sections. They had very front is press only. Right behind us would be the VIP section,
Mm-hmm.
and right behind them would be general attendees.
Mm. Okay. How
And the concerts were fantastic.
awesome. Any particular performance that was your favorite?
I mean, I had to be biased towards Jam Project here. They really put on quite the show. They really
Nice.
got the audience pumping and really brought some of us older fans of Super Robot animes and stuff like that by playing songs from those media.
Nice. Nice. Awesome. Awesome. What can I say? Yeah, and I heard some friends who really enjoyed the concerts too. I heard that the concerts were great and they really enjoyed it when they were there as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, awesome, good stuff. Um, in terms of the cosplays that were there, I'm not quite sure if there were a good amount. I'm gonna assume like any J-pop summit events, like there are some, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, probably like around 20 or so on each of the given days at most.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is not an event that people really come out to cosplay in. Like it is encouraged. Like they even try to encourage it by holding a cosplay contest of sorts on day one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not. It's again, as we said earlier, this is not exactly a convention, so you're not gonna see like waves of cosplayers like you would at say Kraken Con or Sac Anime.
Right, right. Just out of curiosity, because I saw the pictures and uh, so okay, so how was the cosplay contest like? How was that handled? Because I seen the pictures, and this is a friend of mine's. Also, the videos of the Cosplay Wrestling Federation videos we do for them. But like I saw G in the photos with the microphone hosting the cosplay contest. How was that set up? Just out of curiosity.
So what happened was they had a panel of judges, and they will have each cosplayer come up one by one. Now no. I'm gonna tell you here. This is not a masquerade. No one's coming on to actually show off their stuff or do any sort of performing. This is just people coming up during cosplay, and they're standing there and they get asked a bunch of questions,
Oh, okay.
and they step off.
Okay.
And the overall winner was determined by mainly craftsmanship and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay.
So it was more about the actual outfits than it is about trying to emulate the character.
Okay. It kind of reminds me of some of the Japanese shows where they'll bring in a guest and like the host would like ask them questions while the camera person would be just like zooming in on all directions of the person that is being interviewed. But that's cool. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look it up later. Hopefully it's on YouTube somewhere. I can look it
Yeah.
up.
I mean, they did have some notable guests. One of them is a pretty well-known cosplayer, and two of them are actually these, they call themselves cosplayers. They're known as Yananiku. They're a they're a duo that try to promote the idea of Japanese hot spring hotels called ryokan.
Ah, okay.
And yeah, actually speaking of that, they actually had this little thing set up where you go into different rooms and
Mm-hmm.
you sit there and watch a little virtual tour of one of these two girls in these modern looking, they were like this modern take on traditional Japanese clothing that
Hmm.
one would wear at a hospital and all. And they're going around to different areas of Japan showing off these different ryokan.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, you get this as a way to potentially earn a free yukata or even a free trip to Japan.
That's really cool, actually. I will like that, sure.
Yeah, just I stick through a bunch of videos and they sometimes serve you some tea and give you a little something to munch on while watching them.
That's pretty cool. It's pretty chill. Nah, actually sounds pretty fun, actually.
Yeah. They also had yukata rentals for anyone who was interested in checking that out.
Hmm.
Just had drop off $60 in cash and you return it, you get your 60 back.
Really?
Yeah.
That's okay. Cool.
Yeah, kind of
Uh,
like walking around a traditional Japanese summer festival at nighttime,
that's pretty sick. That's pretty awesome.
but without most of the games and all that.
Yep. Just think of for people at home. Just think of every other anime that has a festival at night and everybody is in like this formal like outfits. Uh, just look it up. Trust me, it happens every other time.
I think of this as more walking in this, but in a more modern setting where you're seeing booths of people of Panasonic and Canon demonstrating their electronics and King of Korea and other vendors selling their anime merchandise and all sorts of Japanese fashion.
Oh wow, awesome, awesome indeed. I was gonna say. Sorry, I just ate, so if I do burp in this podcast, I apologize for my vulgar digestive system. Anyways, so in terms of like, what were some of the things that kind of interested you when you were there? Like, what was you said you were interested in concert, but what were some of the other things that kind of interested you when you were there?
Well, there was the Ryokon tour thing that I mentioned earlier. That was pretty neat that they had something like that set up. Again, the Yukata rental thing was a pretty neat idea as well.
Mm-hmm.
They had all the just there was also I think the whole they call it the interactive technology or something like that area of the festival where you get to go around to these different companies like again Canon, Panasonic, and so on, and check out all the new games they got going on for the future and all. There was this one, I forget what the name of that company was, but there was this one group of people that was showing off this little radiation detection device that they set up around the streets of San Francisco. That was pretty neat.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
They actually like showed you a little map they had going on. You see like all these different dots throughout the streets of San Francisco and telling you like how clean or how how potentially radiated it would be or something like that.
Okay. So just out of curiosity, like, now every other convention, or other anime-esque event that any of us go to, there's always some sort of, I would say, an event that, or a circumstance that only happens at these events, and we're talking about these weird or funny moments that happen so often.
Funny.
So, like, did any particular thing happen to you or around you at J-pop that was deemed funny, weird, or just like what just happened?
Let me think about that actually. Because the problem with this event was just simply that most of it was really pretty chill, was pretty chillaxed and calm for the most part. Let me see if there was anything like that. Man.
Why you figured that
Yeah, I really don't think there's anything I would really point out as being like spontaneously like, whoa, what just happened?
Right, okay.
Like a lot of it's just kind of like what you expect. I mean, like I guess the only thing to be really surprised about was this. So you know how at a concert you would typically, all the fans would you kind of shout for an encore for several minutes. Well, in order to keep the schedule going and to prevent things from going over time, there was no encore system. So what the artists would do is they'll say that something is the last song that they're going to perform. They'll perform that, but they'll go into performing a few more songs as a pseudo encore.
Ah, I see. Gotcha.
So after Jam Project, which was the last act of Saturday of the event, after we started encore for about 2 or 3 minutes or so, the security really started shouting, really told all of us to get out. So it's over. Like, that's not something I really expected. So I guess that will be the spontaneous, whoa, that just happened moment there.
Security's like, get the hell out of here now.
Like, no, you can't call for no encores.
That's great. That's awesome. I mean, it's not great, but it's just funny how that happened.
Yeah, looking back at it, and like, I guess it was another funny moment. So you know how you go to some concerts, especially Japanese ones, you have people waving those glow sticks around.
Mm-hmm.
So I was one of them, and since I'm right there at the press area, right by the stage, here's what happens. In the second half of Jam Project's performance, Fukuyama, the guy with like really disheveled long hair,
Uh-huh.
he comes up to me and he signals me he's trying to like grab my glow stick, and he's telling me to let go of it. And you might notice that in my photos, you see him waving that around you see him waving that around.
Mm-hmm.
He was using that to kind of direct the audience, for some of the songs.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's a little weird. I mean, so here's a funny story, actually. Okay, so Anime Expo last year was the big Kill la Kill event, and me and Jeremy went to go cover it. Now, being the fact that I love Kill la Kill, and I was really, really excited for this event. So what ended up happening is that there was no video that can be recorded, but photos are fine. So I was up there in the press area, and I have my glow sticks with me. And I'm going nuts. I'm just all into it. I woke up a sweat. Jeremy behind me is trying to take pictures. So that at one instant he can see the singer on stage. The next minute he sees just like a not rainbow, but like a wave of just green, just glow sticks in his peripheral vision. And like I look at him, it's like, oops, sorry.
Oh, I feel you.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. I'm glad you had fun there. Again, is this only a 1-day event, or is this kind of a
2 days?
It's 2 days.
Yeah. Well, technically 3 if you counted the supposed day 0 at the Castro. I think it was the Castro Theater or New People Cinema. It was one of those two, where they were doing an introduction of the guests at one of those two areas the night before.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, more or less a 2-day event.
Cool. Awesome.
Here was my gripe with the way that J-Pop Summit is being run now. So you might have noticed that in the past they would have everything in a few blocks of Japantown. Like even everything from like the stages for performances to vendors to food trucks to even sake tasting, all in the same general area.
Mm-hmm.
I believe by 2012 they branched off the sake tasting, or no, not sake tasting. They branched off some of the performances over to Union Square in downtown San Francisco.
Oh wow, that's weird.
And then this year they did something really odd where they have some movies playing at New People. Like it makes sense before when you have movies playing at New People at the same time as J-Pop Summit Festival because it's all in Japantown.
Yeah, they're all nearby each other. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was okay, but because they brought in some films over, and those are being played at New People Cinema in Japantown, which is a pretty long way from Fort Mason Center. And they had the sake summit, the sake tasting area, at Union Square, and most of the other stuff's going on at the Fort Mason, and you're kind of going, how am I supposed to do all this in one go?
That is a weird thing that they're doing, and
like I think what they're trying to do is like, if people want to do one or the other then they can choose to do that and not really have to get like interference from people who are trying to go to something different.
I could see that too.
But I mean, overall, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, at that point, if you're gonna have two events happening, but
it's not that it's separate events in a way, but I mean, like, it's all technically the same thing.
Right.
But it's all different aspects. Like for example, let's take Fanime for example. Let's say we have the action. Like, it's kind of like that, but imagine that being spread out further. Like let's pretend that most of the convention is like the San Jose Convention Center as usual, Barbados, like a DoubleTree hotel at the airport. And let's pretend that some of the panels are out over in, I don't know, Cal State, in San Jose State.
Yeah.
But, well, actually, or even further away, like, I don't know, somewhere in Santa, like, kind of like near Santa Clara, I don't know. Like, it's kind of absurd.
Mm.
Like, imagine a convention did that where the guild, like, Guild is hauling artists out and a lot of the main stuff's in one venue, and anime screening rooms are somewhere like 2 miles away.
I see.
And if you wanted to do something like, well, what would be something extra that a convention would have?
I definitely.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. It is weird. It is weird that it's set up like that, but at the same time, I can understand why too.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting what we're gonna do for the next year if it comes to that again. It may be the same thing, but the thing is though is like, unless you know what's up, and you're going to the event and they informed you, or you studied prior to the event and know what's going on, your average person is gonna go to the Jpop event, but not gonna end up driving or going to the other part of it just to see,
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. I mean, something new that I've actually noticed with this year is apparently they did this last year as well, where they started charging people to go in. This used to be a free attendance event, which is a regular street fair.
Right.
And now they're like, well, we gotta kind of charge you for this stuff, which is not bad. It's not too bad of a price. Again, something like outdoor 1 day, 30, 25, 30 bucks, something like that. That's not too bad.
Okay.
But you get access to almost everything. And you upgrade to VIP. You also get to do some special stuff. Get to be a little closer to the stage. You get to actually do some meet and greet with some of the special guests and all.
Okay.
But here's the thing, though. If you wanted to do both the actual J-Pop Summit event at the Fort Mason and the sake tasting at Union Square, that's separate.
Yeah. I am curious to see what they do for the next year, if it keeps it the same way. I think charging for an event that used to be free, I think that's fine, because they're renting out the venue, I assume. And
yeah,
they need something.
It makes sense that because they're in a venue now, they need to charge people.
Yeah, so it makes sense. In terms of the whole event, having two places, like one event, the main one at one location, but have it at another location. I wouldn't say kind of far, but a good distance.
It will take you time to get there.
Yeah. If you're gonna do that, I feel like at that point, just cut that off and just focus.
Or dedicate 1 day for one aspect and dedicate the other day for the other.
Yeah. I mean, it would make more sense for me if they just cut that event and just focus on the J-pop event at the main venue. Maybe incorporate like a movie screen somewhere, if you can find some way to do it. But
yeah, like the thing, like here's when I first got to the Fort Mason, and I find that it was only taking place in essentially just 2 buildings of the facility.
Mm-hmm.
I was going, I don't know, like maybe it was a budget thing, like, or maybe schedule conflict, that they couldn't have the rest of the buildings. I don't know.
Right. It could be, yeah, like I don't know. Like, is there any another like movie theater nearby?
I don't know about movie theaters per se. I feel like if you had to go to a movie theater in that area, you would probably it'll probably take you a while.
I see.
I think they just do that new people because it's probably one of the very few theaters that will even cater to such films to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's the truth.
Right, definitely. Yeah, I mean, like, it's gonna time only tell as far as like what they decide to do for the next year or the following years when it comes to that.
Like, it was definitely, I would definitely say that it was kind of daring to do something like this, where they changed up the venues and all. But I also think at the same time it's going in the right direction. in what they're trying to do because let's face it, outdoor stages don't really cut it for some of the names that they brought in.
Agreed, definitely. I definitely agree. I think that that's the right move they had to do. It was getting bigger, and
Yes.
they needed a place for people who will not get sunburned or die in the heat during their
Yeah.
outside events. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I agree that that this was the right move in terms of like everything else associated with it. I'm not sure. I don't want to say it's a feeling out type of deal, but I will say it is a feeling out type of deal because this is, I believe, at least to my knowledge, the first time they're inside a venue versus they've been always outside. Um,
Again, this is according to what I've heard from people who went last year, but it was at some kind of indoors. We're saying some kind of indoors environment last year.
okay.
Don't take it from me. I'm just a messenger here.
For sure, for sure. We not know the full details of what it exactly if they've been in the venue or not. Yeah, but definitely. Again, time will only tell in terms of how they decide to go forward with this. And I think next year will probably be a good indication of what type of direction they want to go with.
Oh, never mind. It was actually Japantown last year.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah. So before we end this short but sweet podcast on J-Pop Summit, what overall thoughts on J-Pop Summit this year?
It was definitely quite an enjoyable event. There were definitely times where some people might feel like, I would say that be warned that there may be times during which you might feel like there's not much to do just simply because what the group you're looking forward to seeing on stage or the event you're looking forward to see on stage might not be there and you already look at all the different vendors and all. Like, you could kind of go through the venue relatively quickly compared to a convention's Gildas Hall or Artist Alley.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say that don't be surprised if you find yourself without something to do all of a sudden because there's a big gap between things on stage and all. And be prepared to prepare yourself in terms of stamina and money. You might find yourself spending quite a bit there, especially if you're going to try to get autographs, which are only available if you purchase something by that particular person or group.
Okay.
And but yeah, overall, I would say it's definitely a change in the right direction. Could have been done better, but they're making their way there gradually. And I'm confident that if J-Pop is able to maintain the good relations with guests as they were able to with this year, I definitely think that we could see this become a bigger thing in the future that will definitely garner the attention of people across all sorts of backgrounds and stuff and interests. So I'm definitely confident to see where this is going to play out.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much for joining me for telling me everything about J-Pop. Before we go, Rin, where can I find you on the internet?
Besides Kim Jong-un's fitness, you can find me on Facebook under Azurin. You can also find me at World Cosplay under that same name, as well as Pure Cos. And of course, you can also follow me at Twitter. I recently changed my Twitter handle to be Azurin Dumois. And of course, you can also find me at Mission Start Podcast here with Anthony, and we come to you to bring you our takes and views on all these different events for you folks.
Awesome. You can find me, or if you want to follow me, you can
Yes.
you can follow me on Twitter at Defective Naruto. As Rin said, you can follow the work that Rin and I do on our website at missionstarpodcast.com. We have a slew of conventions that we are planning to cover in the next month, actually. Some of us are going to be at KrakenCon, covering that awesome one-day event of being on a ship. Some of us,
Exciting.
yeah, it's pretty sick. Some of us are going to be at TwitchCon. And I believe I want to say Kamikaze too as well. We got a slew of conventions we're covering pretty much.
No Sack Anime?
Sec Anime, I believe we have somebody. We do actually. We have somebody covering Sec Anime.
And I guess there's also the upcoming YawiCon.
YawiCon, I would say yes. I am going to come back and attend that. And see many shirtless men at one time.
I don't know. Oh yeah. I don't suppose I'm just gonna be going to PMX as well.
Okay.
I mean, like, I won't be because I'll still be up here in NorCal.
Right.
But I don't know if anyone. Here, like, it's funny because both PMX and SAC Anime Summer are on the same weekend.
Are they really?
This year.
Wow.
Yes, they are. They're both Labor Day weekend.
The funny thing about that is, like, it seems like okay, so here's the funny thing, just so that sidestep all this before we end the show.
Oh yes.
So we have SAC Anime Labor Day weekend, okay. Then we have PMX. I just learned right now. We also have, I believe. Wait, actually, take that back. No, PAX Prime is this weekend. Okay, because like usually PAX Prime every other year is usually the same weekend as SAC Anime.
And I believe this weekend is Anime California in SoCal.
That's true. Yeah. So yeah, again, a lot of conventions still happening.
September is a busy month.
Yeah. No rest for.
That's kind of surprising because September is becoming quite the busy month now.
Yep.
For some people.
Yep.
In terms of conventions and all.
Yeah. No rest for the wicked, as they say.
No rest.
Like there's nothing in August, but there's stuff in September. So I don't know how that works.
Oh, there were a few things in August, like K-pop Summer Festival, Anime California.
That's true. Yeah, we're busy.
For some people up here in NorCal and some people coming up from SoCal, there was like that really big NorCal summer cosplay gathering that they hold.
Yeah, that's true.
Twice a year now.
That's true. I went to the last, I actually went there the last one, and that was fun. It was chill. It was hot.
It's like a mini outdoor convention.
Pretty much. I mean,
without the vendors.
Yeah, like everybody was hanging out, just talking to each other and eating food and just kind of whatever cosplay shenanigans and lots of photo shoots. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oh, excuse me as I burp into the mic. All right. So with that, we'll see you guys next time.